As the movie opens, we see a seasoned archaeology professor named Hopper who has just embarked on a personal mission to uncover the fate of his long-lost family, who had vanished decades ago while searching for the mythical fountain of youth in a remote cave. He is accompanied only by his loyal dog Boss, and they soon stumble upon the cave entrance deep in the wilderness. When he looks inside, Hopper sees a motionless cowboy who, although he is still armed, is frozen in time and his attire appears centuries outdated. Disturbed by this strange discovery, Hopper returns home. He was initially planning the expedition with his assistants, Taylor and Jackie, but Hopper suddenly changes his mind and tells them that he will be returning to the cave alone. When he returns to the cave, he prepares himself and enters inside. But once inside, he encounters a mysterious atmospheric barrier separating the cave's interior from the outside world. Upon breaking through it, the motionless cowboy suddenly begins to move. Then suddenly, Hopper disappears without a trace. In the next scene, we see that 2 days have passed with no word from the professor. So, Taylor and Jackie immediately grew concerned and they decided to search for him. But they didn't have a means of transportation, so they contacted Kara, who was Taylor's crush, and asked her to borrow her father's SUV for the adventure. Kara eventually agrees, but she was forced to bring along her younger sister Vives, who has a school project to document, and her friend, Furby, for the journey. When they arrive at the cave site, the team finds a rusted van that once belonged to Hopper's parents, and this eventually confirms to the group the professor's real motivation for the adventure had always been to locate his missing family, and not a group of 70s-era hippies as they had been led to believe. As they edge closer to the cave entrance, they spot an ancient rope leading deep into the cave, and after inspecting it, they realize that it predates Hopper's expedition. The group then prepares to descend down the cave, but Furby, who was too frightened to join them, chooses to stay behind to stand watch. As they group descend deeper, Kara notices the same invisible layer that Hopper had breached days earlier. She notes that the air feels completely different on the other side, but this doesn't deter the group and they proceed to break through the strange barrier, unaware of the dark secrets below them. In the meantime, we see that after Hopper had followed the mysterious cowboy deeper into the cave, he had immediately begun to experience a strange phenomena. He sees a surreal flicker of light appear with a pulse throughout the tunnel, as if someone is manipulating daylight with a massive dimmer switch. Moments later, he hears a distant screaming echo through the cave, and this makes him run outside. However, to his great surprise, he discovers that although only a few minutes have passed since he entered the cave, when he reaches outside, he sees a totally different world. He finds his car now buried in a thick bush, and it was already night. It seems that time has moved forward at an unnatural pace. When he proceeds to check nearby, he finds Kara's SUV and Jackie's backpack, and this made him realize that others have entered the cave as well. Now determined to go after the teenagers, Hopper re-enters the tunnel. In the meantime, inside the cave, the group of teenagers have begun exploring. But their excitement quickly turns to panic when they hear a scream piercing through the darkness. So, they quickly turn back and make attempts to escape. Jackie attempts to exit first, but the rope suddenly snaps, sending her falling to the ground and injuring both her and Taylor, who had attempted catching her. After seeing this, Taylor tries to confirm the integrity of the second rope, but as he pulls, he discovers that it's also been severed. They immediately suspected that Furby was the one trying to play games on them. So they attempt to contact him through the radio, but all they get is a static response. Eventually, they hear a muffled plea for help over the radio, and when they listen closely, they discover that it was Furby's voice, begging for them to help him. With no other choice, the group moves deeper into the cave to search for another way out while leaving the injured Jackie behind. They soon come upon a horrific discovery in one of the corners as they find a cut rope and Furby's lifeless body on the ground. They were shocked by these discoveries, and as they wondered what could have happened, they retrieved his camera and played back the footage. That was when they uncovered the truth about what transpired. In the video, Furby reveals he had found Hopper's father's journal in his truck, and inside, he had found details about the cave. He says that the cave houses magical water capable of healing, and that Hopper's family had ventured into the cave decades ago in search of this water, hoping to cure Hopper's terminally ill sister. However, after waiting outside the cave for days, Furby had attempted to enter the cave in search of Taylor and to possibly retrieve the car keys from him. But unknown to him, what seemed like an entire day to him was only seconds for those inside. Unfortunately, once he had crossed the barrier, his rope had mysteriously cut, sending him falling. The group saw that he had survived the fall, briefly regained consciousness, and attempted to call out to Taylor. But before he could escape, a savage caveman emerged from the shadows and brutally killed him. As the group processes what they had just seen, Vives notices some inconsistency in the video as she finds that the record spans multiple days, despite the fact that they've only been in the cave for less than an hour. It seems that time is fractured within the cave, and whatever rules govern reality outside do not apply here. With both Taylor and Jackie now injured, the responsibility to find help falls to Kara and Vives. But due to her age, Kara tells Vives to stay behind while she climbs up the same path they had descended. But when she eventually makes it to the top, she emerges into a drastically altered and strange environment. The green vegetation that once surrounded the cave has vanished, the atmosphere feels unnaturally thin, and she also noticed a massive dust storm looming in the distance. In the sky above, she sees a massive triangular object hovering in the clouds. Unable to get a signal on her phone or call for help, she decides to rush back into the cave. However, her return isn't met well by the others as they accuse her of not even trying to seek help. For those who were inside the cave, only seconds had passed since Kara had stepped out, while for Kara, she knew that she had spent nearly 30 minutes outside. This discrepancy slowly begins to confirm the group's theory that time outside the cave progresses exponentially faster than inside, especially after Kara shows them the footage she had recorded. As they replay the video clip they found on Furby, Taylor notices that the ropes above the barrier had deteriorated rapidly from time exposure, which explains their sudden cutting off. That was when Vives also observed a strange pattern in the sunlight and shadows. She sees that within seconds, the cycle of seasons appears to pass, summer followed by winter in rapid succession. By this measure, the group estimates it is not just days that have passed but seasons, and they end up calculating that over 5,400 years have passed on Earth since they entered the cave. Now, totally focused on escaping this strange cave, Kara once again climbs towards the opening, but this time something unexpected happens. They suddenly see a futuristic ladder descending from above, followed by a towering figure in a spacesuit. Almost immediately the figure enters. A caveman attacks him, but he is quickly subdued by the strange figure. Alarmed by all that is happening in front of them, the group runs deeper into the cave, where they eventually stumble upon the skeletal remains of Hopper's parents and the cowboy figure that Hopper had seen earlier. Suddenly, 3 more cavemen ambush them, and although Taylor attempts to hold them off, he is quickly overpowered and killed. The girls eventually escape to a different section of the cave, and when Kara returns and sees Taylor's lifeless body, she is heartbroken. As she starts to grieve, the strange being approaches her and pulls Taylor and carries him to a glowing pool of water nearby. When he immerses him in the pool, Taylor is suddenly revived back to life, confirming the myth about the cave all along. But while Kara was still in shock, the cavemen returned and attacked again. This time, they managed to knock off the alien's helmet, exposing him to the cave's toxic air. Despite gasping for breath, the alien continues to fight and ultimately subdues and captures the cavemen before collapsing to the ground. The teenagers continue to watch in shock, as it finally dawns on them that they are caught in a place where time, life, and the very laws of nature follow rules far beyond their understanding. They are soon joined by the remaining 2 girls, and they are drawn back to reality by the dying alien on the ground. When they try to question him about what he knows about the place, he shows them a media clip from a news center where the reporter narrates how the group's disappearance has become a historical mystery. The footage also reveals that years after their disappearance, humanity had faced devastating conditions that threatened human existence. Following these changes, human beings had begun migrating to a new planet in an effort to preserve their species. This shocking revelation makes it clear to the group that there is no way back to the Earth they once knew. So, they must decide whether to escape now or remain in the cave indefinitely. Suddenly, Taylor notices Professor Hopper's backpack on the ground, and sensing he could still be alive, he chooses to search the other parts of the cave after he picks up a gun he saw on the ground. While searching deeper, Taylor discovers several cave people, both young and old, with some injured. He eventually finds Hopper, who has been fatally wounded, and in front of a denser final barrier. Behind it lies Hopper's long-lost sister, who is now suspended in time along with others from different historical periods, all frozen mid-conflict over the Fountain of Youth. Hopper then explains that the cave operates as a protective system, where each layer slows down time more drastically than the last. The deeper one goes, the slower time moves. In the end, Hopper tells Taylor that he is too injured to make it to the water and that the cavemen will soon be on them. So, he encouraged Taylor to return to the others and escape before the cavemen return to them. Reluctantly, Taylor returns and they use the water to heal Jackie and even resurrect Furby. But just as they regroup, they are ambushed by the last remaining cavemen. Seeing no other way of escape, they choose to activate the high-tech ladder left by the alien so they can climb back to the surface. Kara goes first, but upon reaching the cave's mouth, she finds that the entrance is now submerged in water. When she tries to force her way through the barrier, she is suddenly pulled away by a strange aquatic creature. Moments later, she returns fully suited in advanced gear as she is revealed to have been evolved into another form of humanity. She then quickly lowers a futuristic rope and retrieves everyone from the cave, including Furby, Hopper, and Hopper's parents. Then in the final moments of the movie, we see all the survivors, Hopper, his sister, his parents, Furby, and the others are now all aboard a massive spaceship. And that the vessel is moving toward a new Earth, which will hopefully be a place for a second chance for humanity, now far beyond the time and world they once knew. And that's the story of the movie, Time Trap. If you enjoyed the recap, consider dropping a like on the video and subscribing to the channel. See you in our next recap.